What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Childish Plays. This is Childish with episode 2 of Critical Thinking with Childish. That's Childish one too many sentences, but that's all right. That's all right. Just an introduction. So today we're gonna continue to touch on the same topic that we hit up on the first episode, which is the attack gauge, and how we can emphasize or use that to our advantage, not only in the dungeon like we did in the first episode, but now more so in the arena. But since I got you here to start the day off, we'll keep you excited. We'll have you. Hopefully, you guys bring me good luck here with this wish, because you guys won't get to see a lot of summoning videos, this and that, being a free to play player. So gotta get you on your toes. What is that, man? I tell you. Okay, no luck for you. Maybe I should do it off camera. Apparently, y'all ain't too much help. All right, so just to do a quick recap, we utilized different, talked about different units that either have a partial attach gauge reduction in their passive, or had an attack that they could do once every 3 to 4 turns to excuse me, to reduce the attack bar completely. So a couple of the examples that I threw out was Hua, that you already remember, with the passive decreasing the enemy's attack bar by 25% every hit, and also Beretta, the awakened fire sylph, being able to decrease their attack bar by 0. So quite a few units in both groups that have those particular abilities, but now we're going to turn the focus towards arena. So we'll just do a quick rival for those that may not have seen it or whatever, but I highly doubt that. So when it comes to attack gauge increase or reduction in arena, that's depending on what you're trying to do. It definitely will give you the upper hand, and allow you to basically lock down the team, or take out half the team, or whatever your initial goal is, depending on how your team is set up, whether it's a speed team or a control team or just a high single target kind of DPS team like I normally rock. It'll allow you to do so. And how is that? By taking whatever unit you have. For me, obviously, I'm using Megan, and getting her speed as high as I can so that I can cast her buff that increases the attack bar of allies by 20%, which will allow me to do it. So even though some of the units that I might be fighting in my list of arena competitors, whatever, I still will get the upper edge, because even though their speed might be higher than mine, I had that initial attack gauge increase, and the difference in the speed that they have between units will not make up for that initial attack gauge boost. So stuff that you guys already knew, but for the people that haven't gotten a chance to get some of these units, that is why you see the Water Mystic Witch in Arena 24/7. She is the end-all, be-all unit to utilize in that situation. Not just for that initial buff, but because it's tied to an attack and defense buff, and then of course her leader skill that gives her even more damage. So to be able to have that first attack for each one with an attack, defense buff, and the attack, I mean, that's just a great unit. So yes, if you guys get onto that, get one of those units, hold on to it, because it's going to be beneficial. Okay, so that's the stuff that you already know. What don't you know? Well, let me tell you something. What do you know but don't always think about? These are the silly things that I think about when trying to set up a team. So that is the typical common one you'll always see. But people think that basically battles are win and loss. If you only can do it with Megan, there's just no way else to do it. Of course there is. I don't think App Invasion. I might have posted it in the App Invasion forums, but I know I posted in my Line ID group that I made a video probably like 6 months ago where I was playing around with attack gauge increases and whatnot, and I ended up setting up my wife's account with an arena team to try to do basically what I was able to do with Megan. Of course, she didn't have Megan, so I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do to balance that out? So I set up her team with a couple of units, but the one that everyone knows about is, where is he hiding? There we go, Bernard. So here's a unit that is farmable in the Timor Desert, I believe it is. Lord knows I've probably gotten about 20 some of them and still threw them away just because I needed fodder. But this is a very, very, very strong unit, and you will see this a lot in the arena. Why? Because of this right here, Tailwind. So increase the attack bar by 30%, and also the attack speed for 2 turns. This is huge. Pretty much the same as Megan's without the attack defense buff. But if your ultimate goal is to get the upper hand and have all your units attack before they get a chance to attack, that can definitely mean the difference between a win and a loss. Because depending on how your team is set up, whether it's just straight damage or control, you can lock down a team or just out DPS a team before they get a chance to out DPS you. So I'm going to shoot you out some options. Here's probably the next best option if you have it, and try to utilize it. Why do I think this is the next best option? Because if you can see on the left here, his speed naturally is relatively high. Also, his defense is relatively high. So he is going to survive long in the fight, and he's not going to be too hard to get him his speed up there to be able to attack. So obviously a swift energy, swift guard, swift focus, kind of setup would be fine. This one here, it's a straight 100% chance to land. Obviously, the enemy still has a percentage to resist, but with that being said, probably don't need to go focus. Swift energy or swift guard to take advantage of his high defense or high hit points would be good as well. So yeah, that was actually this was the base of the team that I used for my wife's account. We had Bernard, Shannon, and Lure, which is the Awakened Water Phantom Thief, and then Julie. So what happened was we would throw his group buff out, get everybody to attack first. Shannon would sit up next to give everybody their attack and defense. Then Lure would go with his AoE defense decrease and attack bar gauge decrease, which we'll get into later. Would hit them all. But Julie, being the leader, gave the extra accuracy for him to always land the attack gauge, land his defense decrease, and then Julie would, finish off with her AoE attack that would basically just one-shot everyone, because with them all having the defense debuff, her having the attack buff, it just was too much for them to take. Normally a 10 to 11k hit point hit, and for typically people around the 4-star, 5-star range, you're not going to see a lot of them over 10k because they're so focused on other aspects of their stats. So kind of moving on as far as other win units, I believe that was the only real win unit as far as increasing the attack gauge. I didn't see any for group. There might be some here that utilize, what is it? Utilize blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. Spacing out completely. I know it's going to come to me here, but I just got to move on. Yeah, I apologize. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning trying to make this video. So moving on to the next thing. So for your attack gauge increases in here, you're going to have two different units. One is going to be the bounty hunter, ready to ambush, increasing the attack bars by 30%, and also the attack speed. So basically, this is exactly like Bernard, the Awakened Wind Griffin, and then of course you have the attack bar increase of the Inferno. I think this is Purian, his name, Awakened, but this is actually pretty strong here. Fills the attack bars of 50% and increases their critical rate. So obviously a combination of this with if you have him as a leader, increasing the crit rate and whatnot. I'm sure a lot of you guys have used him for Giants keep runs. It can be used for arena. You're not going to see a lot of people use it, but that's the things you got to think about when you're trying to set up a team. You're not going to have the luck to always get megas, this and that, whatever. But you might be one of those guys that have gotten like 5 water infernos or water bounty hunters. I promise you that you will not go out of this game. You will not leave this game before you see a 6-star water-based team based on this bounty hunter. I've seen them many, many times. I've seen them basically Rick roll my team. Having every unit attack my team. If not once, twice before even getting attack, and then I, get my first attack with only 2 units left. I mean, it can happen. Don't think about, what the best unit is and, trying to make an effort to always get that one. If it's not a farmer one, just try to utilize what you have in your, what do you have available and, try to take advantage of it. Some of these units here, such as the Inferno and stuff like that, those are going to be available in the secret dungeons, the Wind Griffin secret dungeons. Water Bounty Hunter, I believe it's not, but every once in a while you'll see an event from Com2Us to give units such as that, do a secret dungeon like that, so that'll be good. And then as far as the fire ones go, I believe there was not any group-based attack gauge buffs, but because that's what I do, right? I think always outside the box. It's not just about having, the best unit to increase your attack gauge. You can flip it. You can look for if you don't have a unit such as that, you still have options. So if you can look for a unit that has, excuse me, a group buff that decreases the attack gauge of all the units. So since we're already in the fire section, we'll go ahead and start right here. Another farmable unit, Spectra, I believe is what its name is when it's going. When it's awakened, it gets another 15 attack speed. So look at its attack speed now, 110 for this 3-star here. But if it was maxed out, it'd be 125, and that's just 3-star. All right. So, set this guy up for a Swift Rune and let him get this attack to go. This will be very, very beneficial. Keep in mind that I don't rate it as high as, some of the original attack gauge increases because those are just group buffs that are, that are 100% casting success. Whereas some of these that you'll see, they don't have a 100% chance to land. They're a 50% chance or 75% chance or whatever. So this is an option if you don't have the units I listed above or before. Okay, and again, how can you use this to your advantage? Excuse me. Setting them up on a swift team or setting them up with a fire-based speed leader would be good. Or just if you have a universal speed leader like we were talking about the other day with the fire sylph, fire ninja, all those different units will work out good with him. If not, his speed is enough to, I would think, set him up with a swift set speed on 2 slot and still get the lead. Excuse me. I'm starting to get sick here or something. All right. Second unit to showcase, which everyone's going to be like, WTF? What are you talking about? Why show that unit? Because some of you guys are starting out in the game and don't realize that, when you first start out, you're not going to have too much competition, right? But if you're doing, something like this and having bad luck getting the units that you want, this could be an option. So every once in a while you will do a 3-star summon via unknown scroll or a regular scroll, and you're going to get this awakened unit or a regular unit. This is something that's farmable as well. But as you can see, this one here is just a tad bit better than the previous unit, the Griffin, because it doesn't require a percent to activate. It just, your goal is to hit it, and then hopefully the units don't resist it. You can better your chances by increasing your accuracy. However, you will also notice that the speed of the unit is, this natural base speed is a little bit lower. So this is still not going to be, this is probably going to be kind of tied in with that Spectra. I don't consider it to be better or not. It just kind of depends on, what runes you have to be able to optimize his speed. So even though this sounds outrageous, this is still a unit that can take advantage of reducing everybody's attack bar if you get him to attack first, to give you the upper hand if you don't have the better units. All right. That is pretty much it for the group-based farmable or, units that you can, get relatively easy, over time for fire. We'll go through fire, water, and wind. I'm not going to go over light or dark because I didn't find any 2-star farmable units that were worth mentioning. So moving on, we got the world famous water Amazon here. World famous, I don't know about that, but really nice attack that has a very high chance of decreasing the attack gauge by 15%. So at max, you can decrease the attack gauge, if you're lucky enough, by 60%. From what I've seen from people that have attacked me, I'd say on average I lose a good 30 to 45%, but I've never had 60%. That being said, a 30% attack gauge reduction is still enough to let all the units attack. I will promise you this, you will see a high-end 6-star Amazon in their team, and you might be one of those has the best units of the best, but you're like probably laughing to yourself, why does this guy have this unit, whatever like that? Well, a unit like this combined with a despair focus setup is going to give him the accuracy to make sure this lands, as well as the opportunity to stun you, in addition to increasing the attack gauge. So this is a great unit to throw in there if you don't have a Megan or a Bernard or the water bounty hunter. I mean, you got quite a few options. So that is a good one for attack gauge reduction. This one got a little bit of talk when Sit Down 2000 from our App Invasion forums let everybody know its strength. Same thing again. This guy has a very, very a good AoE here that decreases their attack bars by 30%. And notice it's a straight decrease. It's not a percent chance to do it. However, kind of like how I said with the second unit that I showed, the speed is a little bit lower than the Amazons here. So not too much lower, but than some of the other units that we were talking about. It is a little lower, and so it's going to be a little bit hard to optimize his speed if you're trying to go that route with the Swift. Obviously, you know, I don't personally see this unit being utilized in Arena because they just, you know, when people see Serpents, they're like, oh man, it's just a crappy unit. But this is one of the few units that has two different attacks that could be utilized to decrease their attack bar. So again, if you randomly get the Awakened version, which, take a look, it increases attack speed, so you know you'll be sitting at 114 plus the Swift buff, 25%. You know, an extra 25 speed. You know, you can get a speed up to 140, 150 easy, and take advantage of the skill. Very, very useful. Very, very useful. So, went over with the Water Amazon. Okay, we already know about the Mystic Witch. We don't need to go over that. But as far as the attack gauge reduction units for water, that's going to be the Water Serpent, the Water Amazon, and that is it in my opinion. I believe I don't remember seeing any other units. So I will go ahead and move on. If I do forget a unit that you guys can think of, please let me know. I know that this one doesn't have it, so it seems like all the Griffins have it. Not that one, guys. Not that one. But we'll go ahead and move on. I believe we already talked about the Waterfront. Yeah, that was an attack gauge increase. Okay, so moving on to the Wind. Attack gauge reduction is what we're looking for. This is kind of funny that I seen this because I know each and every one of you have probably gotten this unit that I'm going to show you here next, and that is in the Unknown Scrolls. Good old Seal. You know, it's probably one of your first Awakened units. You're like, oh my god, it's Awakened. This thing is awesome, yeah! And then you're like, wait a second. I read the user rating, and everybody and their mom says, hey, I got this one from an Awakened, or an Unknown Scroll. I got this one from an Awakened Unknown Scroll. It's all over. And, you know, silly comments here. But anyways, she has the ability to hit all the enemies, reducing the attack bar by 40%, 100% activation rate. So all you got to worry about is the unit that you're doing it against resisting, if they have high resistance. But this would work really, really good too. Why? Take a look at the left. The base speed is 108, so set him up with a Swift, putting his speed at about 133 in addition to, you know, whatever other speed leader or speed rune that you can get on this one. This one can be lethal. Alright, and I thought I had one more that I wanted to show. I think that was just Bernard, but he's part of the attack gauge increases. So, I think that is it, guys. I can't really, I thought I had one more. I'm sure you guys will, you know, point it out there later on in the vids, but I believe that is it for now. So hopefully that kind of broadens your horizons with, you know, other units to utilize if you don't have the main ones, but just think about that, you know, you don't need to, you know, you don't need to have the best of the best units to get the done. It just depends on the units you got and see what you can do to mix it around and make the best of it. If I had a if I had $1 for every win-based Orochi, Bernard, Shannon, Lucian team that I attempted to try and failed miserably, I'd be rich because, you know, even though I would bring, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this with the fire-based, you know, DPS team, and I still got served hard. You know, you'll see a lot of these teams that are just kind of awkward, but you'll once you get attacked and get your ass kicked, you'll realize like, oh wow, that makes sense. So that's probably why they did that, this, that, whatever. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this one. I think that'll be it as far as touching up on attack gauge. I'll move on to a different topic here for the next episode of Critical Thinking. But until that time, guys, take care, and we will catch you on the next one.